Welcome to the Still Becoming podcast, episode number 6. The topic is scrolling too much on social media or shorts on TikTok and having your brain melted. What's the impact of that? Our experiences and then practical solutions, what we could do to unplug for our own mental and physical well-being. PJ, what do you feel is the biggest problem from getting caught in a doom scroll?
Dude, first of all, I can't believe when you brought up an average of 7 hours a day on a screen a day. I probably have underestimated mine. As soon as I get on the socials, that's where it really becomes a problem. I can usually catch myself if I'm watching a show to where I think I'm going to stop watching this for now and I'm going to go do something else. All of a sudden, when I'm scrolling, I don't realize that I'm just continuing to scroll. And either I'm sending stuff to Bob or to my son, and it is seriously just like junk food for your brain. And it takes on its own animal, dude. It's just crazy. So I don't know. Get frustrated. You and I have talked already about sometimes not having the ability to just relax or to allow yourself to relax. And so then if I'm not being productive with my downtime, especially if I get stuck on the screen, what then all of a sudden I'm really whipping myself to where it's like, oh, you're a lazy piece of crap. All of that. That is just, it's horrible. And like I said, I can usually get myself out of it if I'm just watching a show, but as soon as I get on Instagram or something and I'm scrolling through the reels, then all of a sudden oh, great. And now I'm losing sleep over it because it's, oh, it's after 10 and I got to be up at 5 and I don't even realize it. And then you just, oh, great. Here we go.
Totally. Yeah, and that's the funny thing is you might even know prior, I gotta go to sleep, I gotta wake up early, and then it's like an hour, 2 hours later, oh crap. Yeah, that
Yeah.
happened to me last night where it was 9:30 and this is the perfect time to go to bed. 9:30, I can get up and do all that. And then I was watching YouTube videos, some stupid news update, and I just got going and just kept on watching, and then it was 10:45. And then at that point, my girlfriend showed up and I got rocked out of my stuff because now I have to talk to her. I can't just be scrolling, ignoring her. Right. So I think that's kind of like a preview of what the solution is. The solution is getting connected to real people.
Yeah.
Um, that definitely helps. And the other
You know,
impact, oh, go ahead.
so when I look at this as far as a problem, and we've talked about this in others where really the advent of technology is just has not been sometimes it has benefits, but then it also has its negative consequences. This, how unproductive people are, and the lack of social skills in some folks that live their life online and behind a screen. And we're not accustomed to being bored. I think you and Jacob talked about it on in your guys' podcast that you mentioned it that we weren't designed for this. Yeah, it's become what is the norm now. Access to TVs, everybody's got a computer in their pocket and everything. And whereas before, if you were on the farm or whatever, even when I'm a bit older, I'm Gen X cusper, and yeah, we would go out and play, physical play. We had a Nintendo at one point, at some point in the 80s, but it was late. We were late to it and we weren't always allowed to play it. We had to get out of the house and go do stuff. And I think if you looked way back in the day, there was no TVs. You may have had the radio, so there was a lot more reading and everything that went on. And now we're not accustomed to being bored. And you look at outside when you're walking around or if you're in a coffee shop, there's not much interaction. I've noticed that. I've tried to go out and when we were reading the No More Mr. Nice Guy, he even mentions, yeah, if there's stuff that you can just go do in public, go do in public. So I'll try and go when we're prepping for the book study. I'll go out to a coffee shop and I'll read. If I have some stuff to do, if I can do it out there, I'll do it. But yeah, there's not much interaction at all. And most everybody's on their phone. I've been guilty of it too in public. If you're waiting in line somewhere, everybody's got their phone out and they're scrolling. We don't know how to just sit and just be bored from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's two aspects. It's that dopamine addiction, because in my experience, it's so quick and so easy, and we all know as people we take the path of least resistance most of the time. That's why Amazon is such a big deal, because it's like, oh, you get 2-day shipping just like that versus having to wait 5 to 7 days like normal stuff. It's
Hmm.
always like faster, easier. Convenience is the thing that drives people, because it makes sense, and that's like a evolutionary thing. If you could get to the watering hole in 2 minutes versus 5 minutes, like that makes sense. But in a lot of time, we've come to a point where convenience is almost a liability in a certain sense, where the cost of convenience is taking away from other parts of our lives that we don't really realize. And to the points that you mentioned, it's social skills and talking to people, or just being present out, and even just going outside. People are, for myself especially, I spend more time inside than outside typically, because my work is around a computer or on a computer, and that decreases the time I spend around people in person, and it just I feel like decreases social skills. And you can see this in society at large, where people are a lot more disconnected, because instead of socializing with people or having conversations with people, it's just a one-way stream of consumption from the algorithm, whatever algorithm you're on, whether it's TikTok or YouTube or even LinkedIn. But it's an algorithm curated based on what the tech companies have decided you want to see, will keep you on the platform longer, and is designed to be hyper uh, dopamine spiking for you, because the more that you get those spikes, the longer, ooh, that was interesting, I want to see another one, I want to keep scrolling, go. And you
Hmm.
just can't get that with conversations with normal people. Like, it's a lot more quote unquote boring, but it's also a lot more fulfilling and real. That's the thing, is you're not, it almost feels like the algorithm has become a substitute for relationships in a certain sense, where instead of reaching out to a friend or talking to people you're around or going outside to talk with your neighbor or whatever, it's like, oh, I could just get on Instagram, I could just get on Facebook, I could just get on TikTok.
I can
And
just Google it. I can
yeah,
just do all of this rather than interact with somebody or read a book and all that. And it's, yeah, the personal interactions are much better. And I try to engage in that so much more than that. But yeah, this week was bad. I wasn't out as much as I normally am. And yeah, I found myself doom scrolling much of the week and then feeling really guilty about it.
yeah, yeah, and it's a negative feedback loop where, oh,
Yeah.
I don't feel good. What am I going to do? I'm going to scroll more. So it really is kind of a low key addiction, but there's no TikTok anonymous or Instagram Reel anonymous, as far as I know. Honestly, and it's sneaky too, because it's not you'll destroy your life. I think it's a very slow kind of impact that you might feel. Yeah, one thing that I've experienced, that maybe it's just a post-COVID thing, is the Gen Z stare. We were talking about this earlier, but and maybe you haven't experienced it, but sometimes I'll talk to people, and it's usually younger people,
Hmm.
and they'll just look at me. I'm asking them a question. I'm speaking English. Presumably they speak English. They're working at a restaurant or working at a convenience store or whatever, or a Target, and they'll just look at you, and they have no idea what's going on. So I don't know. I feel like that's also a result of just too much TikTok or too much scrolling, or you just don't even know how to operate in normal conversations.
Yeah.
I and I feel like that's possibly a reason why the younger generation is so anxious, is because they don't know how to be bored. They don't know how to experience social skills and stuff. And I realize I'm starting to sound more and more like an old person boomer, but I'm not even that old really. But yeah, it's crazy, because that coincidentally, the younger generation spend up to 9 hours on screens versus like the 7 hours for the average person. So
Well,
the younger you
and
get,
I just thought of another negative impact, and I apologize for cutting you off,
oh god,
is we end up lumping people into certain groups and categories. And unfortunately, yeah, my son is Gen Z, he's 21. He and I have really engaging conversations like when we're together. And I don't feel like he necessarily falls into that, but he could inadvertently be grouped in with that.
Yeah,
Where there are outliers to every group that, won't necessarily have that lack of social skills or any of that. But I feel badly because some of them may end up like that. Or like now in the business world where the quality of written emails is poor. I haven't experienced that much. I've heard horror stories, and it's easy. As much as you want to say, oh, you're not going to be that judgmental or whatever, you may end up getting one, then you're like, nope, great, this is this. And so it's unfortunate that that's where we're at right now.
totally. Yeah, and not to dig on the kids or the younger generation, it's more just like society has failed them in a certain sense, is how I feel. And that there's smoking for a long time was thought to be normal and healthy and safe, and everyone smoked until they came out, oh, smoking gives you cancer. And then even still, it took a while to get cigarettes out. And I feel social media is the same. And there's not really any kind of restriction or regulation. Not that there necessarily should be, but I think education on what it can do to you. Because right now it's just a free for all where it's like, oh, yeah, be on social media as much as you want. It's just what everyone does.
Yeah.
And that's more like a societal failing rather than, oh, the generation itself has failed. Yeah, it's just bringing kids into something where they don't necessarily have an opportunity to get educated, and the parents don't know either. Right? They're just, oh, all the other kids have phones and stuff, I'll just give my kid a phone. And it's, yeah, it's weird that it's enmeshed in society because you have to have a phone, but then also the consequences of that are not really, I don't feel, fully discussed or really well understood, is what it
Yeah.
seems like. But anyways, from our experience, the alternatives to the doom scrolling and all of that really come down to being intentional with your time, because I feel like with social media it's very easy to be unintentional, where you just log on to your app. Used to watch a lot of YouTube videos, and they'll just be different things that are curated to what I find interesting.
Yeah.
And I didn't consciously open up YouTube and say, I'm going to watch this video on this news update or something. I didn't go in thinking that. I just fell into it. I was, oh, this looks interesting. Click. And because it's so easy, then the cycle gets started, and then you're just on a roll. At least that's how it is for me. So the alternatives are finding some like offline things that you can do. Reading's a good one. And if you want to test how addicted you are to screens, try to read a book. If you struggle reading a book, unless you have dyslexia or something, that's a different situation. But what I noticed is that after a lot of time on screens, I struggle to read a book because this isn't as interesting. This is a lot slower.
Another thing with that I've found with myself sometimes is that because of how it's broken up into these small snippets of information. I'll notice even when I'm scrolling, if the video's really long, I'm no.
Yeah.
and, and when I'm reading news articles, like, oh, can you just give it to me in like 3 paragraphs?
Yeah.
I don't want to read all this fluff, but then sometimes you need all that background information, particularly if it's a world issue or something. And sometimes I find myself getting bored if I'm reading and the article's too long. I'm like, oh, just get to the nuts and bolts. And part of me is like, oh, I don't need all the other stuff. But no, yeah, I think I'm just my attention span's shit. Sorry, on some of it. But I do a fair amount of reading as well. So you and I have our weekly book study with stuff that's nonfiction, but I also read a handful of fiction stuff before I go to bed, usually. So that I can typically do as long as it's not too dense. And I'll usually read something nonfiction before or fiction before I go to bed. So then that way I can unplug and just allow my brain to wander while I'm reading it and get lost and at least hopefully have that imagination while I'm reading it.
Totally. Yeah, books are really good, and that's something that, yeah, me and my girlfriend used to read a lot before we went to bed, and then we just like, ran out of good books. So yeah, I need to find a new. We were reading Game of Thrones, and we finished it. So got to find a new series to get into. That's just good.
Dune series, that's what I'm reading, right? I'm getting back into the third one.
Oh,
So,
Game of Thrones.
no, Dune.
Oh,
Dune.
Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Pretty
tried to read Dune a long time ago. I was just like, what the hell is going on? I don't understand that. Yeah, that was many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have a different perspective now.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, I got the topic.
no, it's all good. Yeah, so yeah, reading obviously. Yeah, playing music. That's something that I've been getting back into piano a little bit, and I do watch tutorials on my phone, so it's a little bit of both. But I can, after I learn at least the basics, I can practice. So music is good.
That's where I need to be careful because I just bought a guitar so I could start playing again, and I was never good before. But I know that, yeah, I'm gonna have to watch some tutorials. I did buy a book on chords and all that, so then that way I can unplug a bit. But yeah, that's something where it's if I want to get into activities that are challenging my brain, playing music, reading, I do puzzles as well.
Totally. And it sounds like boring. That might be the most the knee-jerk reaction. Like, why the fuck would I why would I do all this boring stuff if I could be watching social media? But really, I feel like it is exercise for your brain. And social media is like fast food for your brain, and it makes your brain mush and just out of shape. And really, it's the attention span and focus
Hmm.
because it really does cater to the absolute lowest amount of effort that your brain has to exert. Like you just flip with your finger and then you're entertained and your dopamine spiked just like in 15 seconds and it's just a blast. But learning something, reading a book, playing music, that all of that is not a huge spike. It takes more concentration and focus, and it can be a lot more rewarding, and honestly give you more opportunities. That's one thing that I've noticed is my ability to focus on one project has eroded the longer that I've been on social media, and I want to jump around to different projects. That
Hmm.
could be like an ADHD thing. It's almost like scrolling through different projects. Oh, this project's boring. I'm going to go to this other project. But yeah, another thing that key is exercise as well.
Yeah.
Getting out, and if you can combine going outside and exercising, I feel like that's even better. But I try, and this is maybe getting into like the solution aspect, but in the morning, I try to spend at least an hour not on my phone.
Hmm.
And so to do that, I have like an actual old school watch, which I was, for whatever reason, I was always against. I'm like, oh, it's annoying to have a watch. But honestly, it's been really helpful for me to just have an actual watch that I can look at and know what time it is. Because otherwise, I might just be screwing around and doing stuff and not be on time to my commitments and whatnot. So the time is super important, but
Hmm.
not looking at my phone is really key. And so usually I get up, I just do basic morning routine stuff, brush my teeth, and then go to the gym basically first thing. And that has been super, super helpful.
I heard
Even
some, I can't remember where, is one of the podcasts that I was listening to, and I'm not sure where they got the information from, but they were saying that usually whatever you feed your brain first, or whatever activity you engage in first, is what you're going to end up craving throughout the day more. So if the first thing that you do is pick up your phone and start either checking email or socials or messages, all that sort of stuff, you're more inclined to then desire or want that more throughout the day. And so that'll suck up more of your time to where when you're on a brief break, you'll spend more time scrolling rather than engage in other stuff.
that's really interesting. The first thing you do in the morning basically sets the tone of this is the main focus for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. I do want to work out more when I work out first thing in the morning. I'm like, ooh, which I think is it's definitely a good habit. Are there any kind of other areas that you like to, as you're moving away from screens and that sort of a thing, that you like to lean into as a good alternative or kind of tips that you have on making that more sticky? Getting into offline stuff or
Just
non-screens.
I I joined a run club here in town, and so we get together on Sunday mornings, and it's nice because I don't have my phone out while I'm doing that. And yeah, I have my smartwatch to track it because gotta have those stats. But I think engaging in physical activity and social activity, and even when I go and hang out with other friends, I'll try to not have my phone out and keep it in my pocket and avoid checking messages while I'm with others and just trying to be present in the moment as much as I can to not be on my phone.
Totally. Yeah. It's one of the more annoying things if you're hanging out with someone and they're just scrolling on their phone and you're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a social faux pas, I feel like. But for some people, it's just what they don't seem to care. So yeah, that I definitely, yeah, exercise, you're getting your time outside plus hanging out with people. I feel like that checks a lot of boxes for
Yeah.
all the stuff. Because I guess what are you sacrificing, right? By Or what am I sacrificing by being on the phone and scrolling and doing that whole thing?
Dude, I
And
was on a hike yesterday and this lady was on her phone on the trail. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're out here, look around you. There's amazing scenery and all that. And you're checking your messages or doing whatever. And they weren't taking a photo. Yeah, I was guilty of having my phone out taking photos, but I wasn't like messaging folks or anything like that. And
yeah,
I think that's the one thing maybe getting away. It's so convenient. The convenience is a crap thing too sometimes to where yeah, you have everything all in one. It's nice to not have to take up that extra space, but it seemed like it was much easier when it was a phone and then you had a camera. Whereas, all right, I'm gonna use this and this is what's gonna because I feel like that's less offensive to have a camera out if you're wanting to document certain things rather than having your phone out to where you could potentially then just start checking messages rather than just taking a photo.
totally. Yeah, yeah. The all-in-oneness has the convenience, of course, and then what's the cost of that convenience?
Yeah.
A ton of distraction,
Yeah.
unless there's intentionality about it. So that's another aspect is time boxing, which is very hard at night. I'm the worst at having good cutoff dates or cutoff times for screens, whether it's my phone or my computer at night. So I'm more active and I've been using screens all day. So then to just stop is hard a lot of times. But in the morning, I feel like it's a lot easier to have those time boxes where
Hmm.
I am not doing anything on my phone. I'm looking at my dumb watch and I'm deliberately avoiding screens for the first little bit. And I guess it might even be a little bit longer than an hour because of the gym. But I feel so much more focused and just able to do things, focus on things, just massive win there. And then also at night too, the tiredness that I feel if I stay up a long time, like 10, 11, 12, even 1, 2 a.m. on screens, like even if I was up till 2 a.m. not on screens, I would feel more rested than if I was like up 2 a.m. on screens. There's just
Yeah.
this huge difference. There's a ton of studies out there that the blue light that comes from your screen, even if they have, I don't know, orange filters or whatever that you can put on your phone to like make it less blue light. It still
Yeah.
fucks it messes you up. It messes me up anyways, and it makes the sleep a lot less restful. And so I'll be more sore, I'll be more tired.
Mm.
Everything just hurts more in the morning when I'm on social media or whatever it is. And usually it's not that important. I think this is one thing is there's that feeling that you're missing out a lot of the
Yeah.
time where it's like, oh, I got to see this thing or this is really going to make a big difference. And if I'm actually objective and I look at my life and I look at all the content that I've consumed, how much of that content actually led to a measurable positive outcome in my life? How much of that growth or whatever, the most growth and improvement that I've had in life has been as a result of interacting with people or having conversations with people or calling people on the phone rather than, oh, I saw this content and it just changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Um, I'm racking my brains. I'm trying to think, is there a video that changed everything for me, or is there a piece of content that just opened my eyes to a whole new way of being? And I'm struggling. I don't know if there's any examples that you have where it's like, oh man, I saw this video and it changed my life. But
I've seen some that have helped give me perspective. They've helped me with something that I've been going through. And it's not all evil, but it's definitely leans more towards that. And that's the one thing where as your algorithm and your feed keeps getting developed and whatnot, it's yeah, sometimes there will be, oh, all of a sudden I have all this self-discovery, self-improvement, healing, all that sort of stuff that continues to show up. And so then you feel like, yeah, maybe I got something out of that, but then you're still 30 minutes, 40 minutes into the weeds. And, but then it's, oh, I've just had a heavy content of this. Let me give myself a break with some comedy or something like that. So then you're on that and because, oh, I just had this intense stuff. Let me lighten the mood. And then that adds another 30 to 40 minutes. So it's not all evil. It's not all bad, but it definitely has an impact and it's designed to keep your eyes glued because then they
Yeah,
hopefully are going to catch you with an ad later on that you're going to be, oh, and there you go.
totally. Yeah, and that's all that the social media platforms care about. And what's funny is it's not really social media anymore. It used to be you would follow certain people and you'd just subscribe and you'd see, oh yeah, my favorite subscriber just posted. I'm going to see what they have. It's more algorithmic now. It's more of an interest thing. So the algorithm will show you things from creators and whatever content creators that are based on your interests, as opposed to, oh, these are people that I've intentionally chosen to follow
Follow.
or
Yeah.
chosen to see. It's just it knows, it's figured out, oh, we've cracked the code on
You,
what
you like
Benjamin
this
wants to
guy,
see.
here's 15 other people that are like him.
Yeah,
You know, it's
exactly.
like, oh, great. Now that's more stuff to just take away my energy and my time.
Totally. Yeah. So it creates this echo chamber kind of effect. And it is a bit more isolating to where it's, and I don't know if following your favorite creators is a better system or anything like that, but it's certainly a lot less addictive instead of having each piece of content be, we know that this is going to keep you on for that next second or that next video.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, time boxing is big. Another thing is journaling, literally just writing stuff out physically has been helpful. Again, it's an attention test. And if it's hard to journal, that's probably your attention span might be shot. So it's a good challenge for sure. It forces me to think things out a bit more as opposed to just being a passive consumer. I have to actually produce something and write something out.
Mhm.
So that's very helpful for me. Um, and also, when I have meditated, it's been very helpful. Meditation, I feel like, in a lot of ways, is almost the exact opposite of social media because it's deliberately depriving you of stimulus in a
Mhm.
certain sense because you're not consuming in meditation. You're sitting, you're not moving typically, you're not looking at anything in particular. It's just stillness versus constant movement of social media. So meditation might be the ultimate palate cleanser for screens because it's just hitting the brakes. Or if social media is like full gas, meditation's hitting the brakes in a really good way. And there's also lots of studies that it literally improves, it grows your brain, like your brain increases. I forget
Mhm.
exactly like how, but it improves your ability to focus. There's lots of documentation that it helps with ADHD, and it's like the gym for your mind, meditation.
Yeah.
So if you're eating the fast food of social media and you need to get your mind more fit, I think meditation is the way to go. Are there any other practical solutions that you have?
Yeah. The time boxing is good. Actually setting time limits and stuff for you and I, you've shared with me stuff that's worked, and I've done it as well to where it's if I take a break and I set a timer on it and hold fast to that, I definitely feel better when I do that. When I don't make it a little bit regimented, then yeah, I can easily find it. But yeah, finding a way to restrict the amount of time that you're on the apps is huge.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I guess as like a last option, there's screen blocker apps that you can get. that I've found to be somewhat helpful, even if it just because you can usually cancel them if you want. Like if you absolutely have to get on your messages or whatever, you can remove the blocker. But just having that interruption for a bit where I can't immediately go into whatever the platform is can be helpful. It's definitely not it's not going to fix everything, but it can nudge things in a good direction.
I've heard of people doing content audits of their own time, where even if it's, hey, I just listened to this podcast, let me review what did I get from it? How do I feel after having listened to it or watched, if it's a YouTube video or something along those lines, but particularly if it's a longer one? Did I get anything? How do I feel after watching it? Those are good questions to ask. The problem with some of the other stuff with the shorter content like the reels is that you're getting so many of them that is, man, how do you feel after X amount of them? Weren't
Yeah,
you
well, you
saying
can't even
somewhere that
remember.
like we aren't designed to have that constant inflow all the time? Maybe I heard it on a podcast, or maybe you were telling me that just the amount of changes in the moods and stuff were not really, it's not really good for us in that regard.
Yeah, it's kind of schizophrenic. I don't know if I haven't personally heard that, but it makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because you go from happy, oh, this is a fun, uplifting thing to, oh, these people just got shot or whatever, and oh,
Mm.
here's some self-development. It's just such a crazy
It is.
freaking roller coaster. And that's always been like that's how news has been for a long time. Like, as long as TV's been around, like it's been pretty sensational, and you always have like, the crazy stuff in the news. But there, the there are blocks for that. You can only watch so much TV, and it's like the news is at 7 or whatever, whenever the news is, your morning news and your evening news, and so you couldn't really binge it as much. I don't feel like, but with reels, it is engineered to be like spiking all of the right things, and it's diverse and it's unpredictable. And yeah, TV couldn't do that. Like with TV, you had a program for 30 minutes or an hour, and it's the same program, right? Even if there's different topics, it's like
Yeah.
you're watching Seinfeld for this block of time, you're watching the news for this block of time, as opposed to like 15 seconds, massively sad thing, happy thing, other thing that you're not expecting just for whatever. Oh, your favorite creator's saying this thing. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it is really a lot. And most technology throughout human history, there's always been new tech that humans embrace, and then it's, oh, what is the consequence of this new tech that is supposedly super safe and clean and has no issues? Like
Yeah.
DDT was a chemical they used in the 60s that I think almost made bald eagles go extinct. And it was
Yeah.
something they would spray in trucks and stuff, and they'd go through the neighborhoods spraying the freaking chemicals. And Agent Orange as well. That was another one in
Yeah.
Vietnam where they're like, oh yeah, you gotta destroy the foliage and it's totally safe. Go on, all these soldiers, go in your Agent Orange. And it's like, oh, actually, Agent Orange gives you fucking cancer and kills
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Oopsie. But in the day, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's totally safe, totally fine. And so I feel we're just a few years away, maybe, I don't know, decades away from those same kind of findings being found from social media. It's just like we haven't hit that point where people are, from the Agent Orange example, we haven't hit that point where people are dying of cancer from exposure to that. And so there's always a delay.
Yeah.
I guess that's the takeaway. Don't let even if there's no, and maybe there are studies. I should do more research, honestly, and see if there's more studies on the real full extent of the damage that it can cause your brain and just in
Yeah.
general. But it's one of those things where it's like, use common sense. Just because it's widely accepted does not mean that it's actually safe for people.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop being on social media. I'm not going to be, oh, I'm leaving social media forever or anything like that. But it's just being well informed and being intentional and not being a slave to the algorithm, I think, is the main thing, is
Yeah.
going at it with intentionality. And if you want to just scroll for 30 minutes or an hour, go for it, but just know that you're committing to it. That's the main thing, is
Yeah.
awareness.
We'll admit, when I set a time limit and I stick to it, I have less regret or remorse for doing it. I don't feel as icky. I don't feel as bad about myself if I say, hey, I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes, this is going to be my downtime. This is going to be my relaxing. I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to scroll. If I do that and I set and stick to that, I don't feel as guilty for doing it. It's when I allow it to take over and get me an hour to 2 hours into it or whatever. That's where I feel a lot of, what did I just do?
Totally. Yeah. Cause it's not you making the decision. It's the algorithm making a decision for you. And you just, without really saying yes or no, you just kind of got sucked into it. So it does feel bad because it's losing ownership or leadership or whatever you want to call it in your own life. And that sucks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel because, oh, in the moment, I'm getting entertained or whatever. But yeah, I'm trying to reprogram my perspective on it where it's, no, actually, I'm getting robbed of my time unless I'm actively saying yes or no to this and making a decision. So if I'm not making a decision, there's no freedom there. This reminds me of a quote from a video game called BioShock, which is, what's the difference between a man and a slave? And the answer is, a man chooses and a slave obeys. It's the same thing with social media. Am I choosing or am I just obeying? And so, am I a man or a slave? It's a good quote. It's a good scene. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.
All right. See it.